Now, they're living the dream, the professional footballers with the world at their feet. But what happens when the final whistle is blown on their playing career? Well, depression, divorce and bankruptcy await many. And for the hundreds of young players rejected by academies every season, it can be a real struggle to cope with failure and face up to a future without football. Angela Rafferty reports on the ugly secrets of the beautiful game.
He was living the footballing dream.
5 minutes to go in the cup final.
But for Gary Charles, it became a living nightmare.
Pearce is in the thick of it. Here's Charles!
An England international, he played in football's top flight. But a battle with booze saw him end up in jail.
I've had my issues with drinking and I am a recovering alcoholic. Prison was definitely somewhere that opened my eyes to somewhere I didn't want to continue going. But it wasn't until I was like 32 and I'd finished playing football that my benders started to get a little bit closer together, because I'd lost that disciplined life of being a professional footballer.
Done well, Gary Charles, got a lot of pace.
Sadly, Gary's story isn't so unusual in football. His brave decision to go public about his addiction is.
I think a lot of people think because you're financially okay, you can't have the same problems as somebody maybe with less money would say. It doesn't pick a certain type of addiction, it can affect anybody.
Football is a beautiful game, hiding an ugly secret. What happens when the final whistle is blown on a professional's career? Divorce and bankruptcy is rife, addiction more widespread than anyone admits. The end result for many, sheer desperation.
I think it is a ticking time bomb. I see the other side of football. I see, people who can't pay the mortgage. I see people who are desperate that they want to throw themselves off a bridge. I see people that are so depressed that they find solace in a bottle. I visit people in prison who've been put there out of desperation. That doesn't really make me love the game that much, because I see what the game can do to people.
Players are moving away from the drinking culture, I know that, because they're having to look after their bodies a lot more now. But gambling can be just as damaging as drinking, or for example, drug addiction or whatever addiction, it leaves you with the same feeling. So I'd say for any young person what feels that they are struggling with anything, speak to somebody about it. Don't feel ashamed to speak to somebody.
Helping footballers forced to hang up the boots for good can be a challenge. After a 20-year playing career, Jason Lee admits attitudes have to change. He's now working for the Players' Union.
The game usually gets rid of you, so it's not as if you make the decision to leave the game. You either get injured or you don't get another contract, and things just transpire to go against you. So to be playing 1 minute and not prepare for what comes next, this is what happens in the majority of the time with players, but they don't really deal with the situation too well. You're left with a lot of time on your hands. It's a dream for some, but it's a short dream. It's just not a sustainable career.
Whatever's happened, he's taking.
They may have dreamed of a life at Manchester United, but for now, Basford United will do. The non-league club, run in conjunction with a local college, is a last-chance saloon. 98% of young players are discarded by academies and never make it in the game.
It is something that you dream about from when you're a young boy, and when it happens and you're on the edge, to get it taken away from you in such dramatic terms, when it's like a simple yes or no and that's it, it can be difficult for lads.
I've never been in such a bad state in my life. I was just in a bad way. I was getting really upset with things were just getting on top of me. I was catching myself just sitting in my car thinking about what could have been.
Some of them, all they want to do is quit. You know, their dream's been destroyed, and it's a case of, you know, picking their confidence up, you know, highlighting to them that, you know, there is life after football.
Your confidence should be building because you're trying new things.
The professional game is trying to do more. Preparing young players who fail to make the grade is what these workshops are all about. Run by the Football League, they give every apprentice an education. 95% of the boys end up in employment or further training, a new life outside the game.
What we need to do as an industry is start to ensure that they're building that through their career progression. So starting at the younger age groups, they're understanding that performance is important, that concentrating on football and putting the efforts into developing your playing skills is huge, but that actually as equally as important to that is that they develop themselves in as wide a capacity as possible.
Make sure you get your maths, make sure you get your English, make sure you've got an alternative pathway, because, you know, the reality is that, you know, only the minority, the 1%, are going to be special enough to make the breakthrough.
They will have some interviews with you. They want to know who you are as a person.
We're in an industry that generates 7.2 billion from TV revenue, and yet that industry cannot seem to find a way of helping the players that made the game what it is today, and the players that historically have built the clubs up to what they are. That the game cannot find a way of helping them in large numbers.
The unions say they are there when needed.
We're there to meet face to face and offer the support that players need. So whether it be financially or just, you know, somebody to go and have a cup of coffee with sometimes, to share, you know, share the load. And if we can help in that respect, I think players are embracing it now. I would say clubs are taking it more on board, and if they don't, ourselves as a union, we go in to ensure that clubs do take it seriously.
For anybody struggling with addiction, the help is out there. It definitely is. And I say, if you want it bad enough, then it is out there, and it's not hard to find.
Giving up on the game was never for Gary.
Good, like it, good.
Now 9 years sober, he's turned his life around.
All I ever wanted was just to live a normal life. And when you're living in addiction, just to live a normal life seems a million miles away, believe me.
Give me the ball. I'm giving you Josh, little one, bang it across. And bang it across in now, yeah? A little one. Wait, no, stop the ball.
He's Director of Football at the University of Nottingham and spends time working at Priority Health, a specialist organisation which caters for the rising tide of footballers who simply cannot cope.
Give yourself more distance.
Even though, like, people say, oh yeah, you've played for England, you've done this, but where my life took me with the drinking and stuff, I'm back where I want to be, really. And it's like I've got my beautiful children at home. I'm working with these, it's a pleasure to work with these lads, and at the minute my life's great.
Angela Rafferty reporting. Finally tonight we can reveal a secret that's remained hidden since World War II. More than 70 years ago, one of the pilots who flew for Bomber Command in Lincolnshire was actually a German Jewish refugee. He'd stolen the identity of a school friend so he could join the RAF. Paul Murphy takes up the story.